Good morning. Let us savor a excerpt from Yong-jia Xuan-jue's Song of Enlightenment. And then let's meditate. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is brought to you by the kind folks who support this channel on Patreon. This morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two, but first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Obi-Wan Kenobi upon the sands of Tatooine under the guidance of Qui-Gon Jinn, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Good news. If at any point during this early morning live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply it to your life, simply type that question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Together, let's chant. This is a longer passage. Walking is and sitting is and speaking, O silent, active, O quiet, the essence is at peace. So, first we're going to explore the misconception, then the actual meaning. So, here's the misconception that is universal for many who would practice Mahamudra, of which this is one of many variations. There's this idea that if we just descend into the depths of our mind, we will be free of agitation. However, the first of the seven enlightenment factors is mindfulness. If our peace is predicated on escaping the present moment, whether that present moment be glorious or grotesque, interesting or boring, pleasurable or painful, internal or external, whatever it is, if we have to hide from it, then that peace is not therapeutic. Peace that comes not from dancing with the present moment, according to the Buddha, is not spiritually productive. So now that we've taken that variable and brushed it off the table, what's next? Zen here is just a transliteration of Jan, which is short for jhana, which is just short for meditation. So we're using the word here, Zen, as a synonym for meditation. So one of my teachers uses the phrase dishwashing Zen. And what that means is quite simply is you can practice the basic meditation, this relaxing, while you're walking or while you're doing chores or while you're making love, and call it tantric sex. The peace we experience is not the absence of external input. It is the reconciliation of external input. Everybody with a central nervous system, with a fully functional central nervous system, can notice and can release, at least in potentiality, because that is what our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems have evolved to do. So peace is always an option. Now, peace is not the absence of stressors. Peace is not the product of telling ourselves lies about our stressors. Peace comes from processing our resistance to the present moment. Let's continue. Let's chant. Even facing the sword of death, our mind is unmoved. Even drinking poison, our mind is quiet. So, the sword of death. So we're not saying this strengthens the thesis that the author's intention is not to say escape stress triggers. Because what he's saying right here is even in the presence of stressful things like death and poison and, it wax whimsical, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. The mind can find peace in the midst of peril. Now, not necessarily easily, not all the time, but in any circumstance, as long as our central nervous system is functioning, we have the potential to process it. Let's continue. Our teacher Shakyamuni met Dipankara Buddha, and for many aeons he trained as Xuan-jue the ascetic. Okay, so this is a piece of patriarchy, and I'm going to explore this with you. It could be argued that the author of the text is neither supporting nor contradicting this Mahayana myth, but he's simply using a pre-existing and popular Mahayana myth to make a point. This is important. When some politicians have trouble getting elected on certain political platforms, rather than retire from politics or change their platform, they find new voters through gerrymandering, which is horrible and unethical. Similarly, When some people who consider themselves as meditation masters use techniques that do not help them accomplish the enlightenment they desire, and do not help their students accomplish the enlightenment they desire, rather than reviewing their assumptions about what enlightenment is, and what meditation is, and reviewing their assumptions about the Buddha's method, and using it as a growth opportunity. Instead of doing that, they turn to fantasy and say, well, even though this technique is not getting any results that are positive, it's not because this technique is bad. No, it's because fill in the blank. And they come up with all these things. Oh, you've only been practicing 30 years? Well, it takes 3 great aeons to become a Buddha. Which is great if your main goal is to justify a system that doesn't work. However, just as Tantra is based on Mahayana, and Mahayana is based on Theravada, if we ignore the Theravadan scriptures, we do so at our peril. And one of the most popular and well-known Theravadan scriptures, the Satipatthana Sutta, teaches that full enlightenment can be accomplished in 7 years, or 7 quarters, or 7 months, or 7 fortnights, or 7 weeks, or even 7 days. And so if you've been working diligently at a system for 7 years and it doesn't work, then it looks like either the system you're using isn't working or you don't understand it properly. When people start going on about requiring 3 great aeons to become a Buddha, they're contradicting the Buddha's promise that it can be done in 7 years or less. Some people would call that moving the goalposts. Some people would call that a logical fallacy. The magic of the Buddha's story is that one man in one lifetime gave up wealth, prestige, privilege to become a monk. And after several false starts, accomplished the path. And that we can do likewise. That's a huge message that has been neutered, that has been spayed by this form of pseudo-spiritual gerrymandering. Let's continue. Many but many deaths I am serene in the cycle, there is no end to it. So I love this sentence. It is deliciously subversive. In many cultures, including the author's culture and including our culture, we can define ourselves by our goals, and our barometer of happiness can seem to be directly related to the accomplishment or failure to accomplish our goals. And here we're being told the difference. We're being told that if you're... So to proceed further, I need to use a visual aid, another visual aid. So I'm going to tap button 5 and hopefully click the right Word document and click over 2 pages. If we are practicing rigidity and fearfulness and controlling and elitism and competition and cruelty, that is a path that will take us many places, but it can never take us to a place of being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. We cannot use a path of turmoil to arrive at a path of peace. Whoops. Okay, that was weird. What the author is saying is there is a way to meditate that will cultivate your anxiety. There's also a way to meditate. Wrong button, wrong remote. That will cultivate your peace. And whether there is only one lifetime and then warm food, or one lifetime and then an afterlife, or multiple lives, or an unconceived variable, whatever's going on, one can know peace as one traverses this path. So here's the great irony. The path is the Eightfold Path. Practicing the path is liberation from the tyranny of our primal destructive drives. Mastery of the path is enlightenment. So, mastery is simple. Mastery just means you've gotten so good at something that you practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. That's like not having to think when tying your shoes, not having to think when riding a bike, that type of deal. So, acquiring that mastery in a relatively short period of time is not impossible. Armed with that mastery, if one is practicing it properly, sustainably, then it is a delight. And as long as one practices that, as long as meditation is a part of someone's life, one can know peace, regardless of whether there's one life or a thereafter or an endless string of lives. Contrary to a literalist point of view, the goal of Buddhism is not to stop taking rebirths. The goal of Buddhism is to master the Eightfold Path with the intention of seeking liberation from the tyranny of our destructive tendencies in a manner that will make us an asset to humanity so that we can help others do likewise. The path is the goal. This cannot be realized dogmatically, any more than you can make love in the name of virginity. Any more than you can kill in the name of peace. But the practice of the cycle is itself, when done correctly, serenity. Let's turn now to this morning's practice text. Let's turn to the latest iteration of Atisha's concise Grintata Sadhana. I'm going to do a quick edit. The second and sixth folds of the Eightfold Path are empathy and enthusiasm, and an easy way to train in them is simply to recite these two couplets. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Let us chant the four immeasurables. May everyone be free from suffering. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, freed. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a beautiful cloudless morn, which, although compelling to the eye, is not graspable to the hand. Sabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Shabhava Sudoham. Phenomena, including myself, are purified of conventional existence. Everything becomes as non-graspable as emptiness. So how do we do that? We do that by practicing mindfulness and meditation, which is known by many names, including awareness and letting go, Zen, Chan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, and Trekcho's Slice Through. The great irony is, despite the grandiosity of its names, its process is remarkably easy. Let us sit in a manner that physically emulates this photograph of a statue in the center of the page. One moment. So here's how it works. As we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Demonstrative pronoun as opposed to a personal pronoun. During the exhalation, we silently and mentally recite the hyphenated verb relaxing. So let's get down to some brass tacks. We can think of meditation in terms of three categories of instruction: Jing, Qi, Shen. Body, breath, mind. So with your body, do your best to emulate this statue. With your breath, it works out best if the in-breath is somewhat shorter and sharper, and the out-breath is somewhat longer and softer. One of the nice things about having a polysyllabic word as the out-breath and a monosyllabic word as the in-breath is it helps to reinforce or at least infer this ratio. Now let's talk about the neurological and mental aspect of this. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our sympathetic nervous system, which is evolved not to actively concentrate, but instead to notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. What are some of the things we are wired to notice? We could notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We could emote, intend, we could notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. But that begs a question. What are we to do with all this stuff? What are we to do with our perceptions of the external and the internal and the physical and the mental and the pleasurable and the painful and the interesting and the boring and the glorious and the grotesque? What do we do with this heap of stuff? Well, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, which is evolved to both physically relax and mentally release. So this is the gift of evolution. This is the gift of our autonomic nervous system. When we use it properly, it can function as a built-in therapist. The therapist doesn't make the shitty past go away, but it helps you to make peace with it. That is exactly what we can do right now. Now, don't be shy. If you have difficulty reading the display, tell me about it in the chat window, and I'll do my best to modify things. Let us now embark upon contemplations of love and letting go that utilize simile and sound, metaphor, and mantra. These are known by many names, including Generation Stage Tantra, Mantra Yoga, Mahayoga, Tantra Mahamudra, and Togal, or leap over. And of course, the G is for some reason pronounced like a K. From the emptiness of his ascetible palm, transforms into a lotus seat. On the top of this appears the suitable law, which transforms into a moon seed the size of a thumbnail, on which this mind appears in the form of a green letter T with the size of a mustard seed. From this green suitable tome light regime that make offerings to all the Buddhas for the benefit of all sentient beings. From this green suitable tome light regime that make offerings to all the Buddhas, thus empowering the benefit of all sentient beings. If you've just joined this live stream, welcome aboard. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them to your life, all you got to do is type that specific question in a detailed manner in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. May the reason absorb into this mind and this become like the octoptata of the rosewood forest. Her body is comprised of green. So we're going to do a quick edit. This is going to be an edit intensive recitation. I apologize for that. Her body is comprised of green light. She has 2 hands and 1 face. Her right hand bench rests on her right knee, is in the giving mudra. Her left hand is at her heart. Her left hand is at her heart with her ring finger and thumb pressed to go to her lengthy stem. Uh-oh. Let's see. Maybe I put it here. There we go. Of the blue pala flowers which blooms at her left ear. She is peaceful and smiling, and she is fully matured. She is adorned with all the precious garments and ornaments. The 5 garments of skirt, belt, shawl, scarf, and crouch are reminiscent of our training. Let's go over here real quick. Whoops, that's weird. There we go. I do apologize for the excessive editing, and hopefully it'll come to a close momentarily. Her left foot is tucked in and her right foot is slightly extended. Her back rests against a full moon throne. On her forehead is a syllable. On her throat is the syllable I, and on her sternum is the syllable Hu. From the sternum who may right light, take 2. From the sternum who may light rays emit and invoke all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, each in the form of green Tata. Om Benza Samaya Zahum Bam Ho. All these yidams absorb into oneself. Again from the seats edible, honest, and may light raising it, and invoke the 5J initiating jhana Buddhas. We now recite Om Vajra Samayan, make the request. Please all Buddhas bestow on me all empowerments. Then the Tathagata say Om Sobhava Tathagata Abhishika Samaya Shriyahu. Having spoken thusly, they pour water from one vessel on top of our heads. The water goes throughout our bodies, purifying all bodily defilements. It fills up our bodies to the top of our heads. Then on top of our heads appears a Nirmanakaya form of Amitabha. I offer the experience of wisdom sights appearing yet as non graspable as a void. Om Maryatara Adashe Patitso Hum Soham. I offer the experience of wisdom sounds resounding yet as non graspable as a void. Om Maryatara Vini Patitso Hum Soham. I offer the experience of wisdom sense fragrant yet as non graspable as a void. Om Maryatara Gande Patitso Hum Soha. I offer the experience of wisdom taste flavorful yet as non graspable as a void. Om Maryatara Rase Patitso Hum Soha. I offer the experience of wisdom feeling sensual yet as non graspable as a void. Om Maryatara Bhaje Patitso Hum Soha. I offer the experience of wisdom thoughts hallucinate yet as ungraspable as a void. Om Maryatara Dharme Patitso Hum Soha. Right now we're going to use the action. Now that we've worked with the iconography of the Yadam, we can use that iconography in metaphor-oriented mantra meditations, which is a whole lot of words beginning with the consonant M, if you ask me. At one side on the moon sea there is a green syllable tom, surrounded by the 10 syllables tare ture soha. Om invokes Tada's courage to Tada's pacification, Ture's increase soha supplicates with these may I liberate all. From these syllables may rays of light emit and make offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas which become useful for the benefit of all sentient beings. From these syllables may rays of light emit and make offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, thus empowering the benefit of all sentient beings. May all the boot powers... I think... Let's see if I remembered it. Is it still there? No, it's not. Okay. Whoops, that's an error. Okay. So the reason I'm going to the bother of putting certain words in italics and in smaller font is to illustrate that that's a word I've added as an act of amplification. This not only is this being translated from one language to another, or from one culture to another culture, and in certain cultures things are inferred that need to be spelled out in our culture. And that's what I'm trying to do. Some people think that's great, and they like my teachings. Some people think it's horrendous, and that I'm a Mata come to drag them to real or imaginary Buddhist hell. The choice is yours. I'll leave it to you. May all the powers, blessings, and love of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas manifest in the form of rays of light, which absorb into the mantra rosary encircling the hot seed syllable. We now recite the mantra 128 times or as much as possible. Let us bring our experience of the mental into the path of love. Un momento, I want to make this image just as pretty as I can because I'm funny that way. So, what we're going to do is this. We're going to answer the age-old question. And the age-old question is this. How do I transform mindless mantra recitation into a type of mantra meditation which is spiritually productive? And the answer is twofold. Number one, during the exhalation, when you are silently and mentally reciting, take two. During the exhalation, when you are physically chanting the mantra, physically relax as best you can. Number two, during the inhalation, you'll want to silently and mentally recite either, later on, a wisdom-inducing rhetorical question, or right now, an empathy-inducing intention. Now, this empathy-inducing intention is only 6 syllables long, but it's cryptic. Therefore, we flesh it out in the previous page. May all minds of all beings now be as peaceful and wise as the mind of a Buddha of law symbolized by a one syllable Sitikle or Bija mantra. Dare. Om dare du dare du re so 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 ha. Om dare du dare du re so wa om dare du dare du re so wa om dare du dare du re so wa om dare du dare du re so wa. Om dare du dare du re so wa om dare du dare du re so wa om dare du dare du re so wa om dare du dare du re so ha. Om dare du dare du re so wa om dare du dare du re so wa om dare du dare du re so wa om dare du dare du re so wa. Let us bring our experience of the interpersonal into the path of love. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyful and loving as a real or imagined Buddha's communication symbolized by this 10-syllable mantra. Now, if you're super clever, you'll ask, why am I choosing to highlight some words in blue? And the answer is, and what we practiced, Tibetan Buddhism has given us not one system of Buddhist Tantra, but many systems of Buddhist Tantra blended together. And previously in this morning's session, we chanted a reference to the 5 jhana Buddhas. Akshobhya, the blue Buddha who sits at our heart, is blue. And in some systems, the easiest way to invoke a chakra is by working with its color in the Buddhist system. And it can also be done through various sensory functions, such as, feeling also corresponds to the heart chakra. But because this is leading to because the heart chakra has a role to play in our final silent closing meditation, that's why I'm working with the blue highlight right now. Om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa. Om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa. Om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa. Om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa. Let us bring our experience of the physical into the path of love. May all bodies of all beings know and enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thoughts of the blissful body of a yidam of lore and archetype of enlightenment. Om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa. Blending wishing love with mantra meditation exercises our neural pathways responsible for empathy and love and compassion. Om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa. Om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa. Om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa. Let us bring our experience of the circumstantial into the path of love. May all circumstances or lots of all beings know have the safety, good fortune, and boon as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land of Auntie. Om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa, om dare du dare du re suwa. Om dare dare do dare do re so wa 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 dare do dare do re so wa. Now we shift gears to the wisdom of letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during or previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a beautiful cloudless morn, which, although compelling to the eye, is not graspable to the hand. How is it that as we inhale, all circumstances could appear quite vivid, yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise or body of light? Dare do dare do re so wa 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 dare do dare do re so wa. How is it that as we inhale, our bodies could feel quite sensual, yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined archetype or yet hum of light? Dare do dare do re so wa 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 dare do dare do re so ha dare do dare do re so wa 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 dare do dare do re so wa. How is it that as we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could be quite resounding, yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined mantra of light? Dare do dare do re so wa 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 Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. How is it that as we inhale we could perceive all mind's functions quite clearly? Yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined considerable atom of light. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so ha. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. Om da de do da de do de so wa. We come now to the second and final silent meditation of bliss and letting go. It serves as an antidote to craving. It is known by many names, such as complete sage tantra, anu yoga, bindu mahamudra, and tikle drop. Consider for a moment this artist's rendering of Tara and Akshobhya Yabyum. I'm sorry, Tara and Amagosiri Yamyum. Naked, they remind us of the vulnerability required of mindfulness latent within each inhalation. Translucent, they remind us of the non-graspability we experience as we relax during each exhalation. Beautiful, they remind us of love, the byproduct of training in mindfulness and meditation. The stability with which Amagosiri sits reminds us of a centeredness. The abandon with which Tara sports reminds us of spontaneity. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the pronoun this, and as we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the hyphenated adjective emptiness. Mythic common and supreme attainments of magical powers and full enlightenment be bestowed upon all sentient beings and myself. Through all recitation and meditation, may all sickness, poverty, and warfare vanish everywhere. And may all dharma and good omens increase. If you feel that I have earned it, you could type something in the chat window. You could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could share it with a friend. You could even help support this channel on Patreon. In approximately 2.5 hours, I intend to return to lead today's mid-morning meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.